Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation to this conference. When I received the invitation, I was very proud and happy to present this lecture. But when I prepared it, it was more difficult to choose the topics and to organize a lot of things I have to present. So I have tried to do things in this way. So essentially, I have chosen to give a series of examples of econometrics model where inverse problems are relevant tools to solve or to analyze these problems. Except the two first, after the introduction, there is a short part where I will try to present the main specificity of the econometric analysis of inverse problem. But after I have essentially a list of examples, you see that a lot of them are related to so-called instrumental variables. They have been quoted in previous paper by Clément in particular, or by Marcus, I think. Because this is a very important tool in econometrics, and this analysis play a role in the introduction of the literature of inverse problem in econometrics. The probably main original part is the last things at the end about so-called game theoretic model, which gives different classes of inverse problem, of some approach of what is called GMM. I will explain what is it. So these parts are less standard. Okay, so I have also to decide things about references, because I have tried to give a list of references. There are too many, so I have finally decided to drop out all the references. I have also tried to give a list of people very active in that field, so I have a huge number of people. So at the end, I have also decided to eliminate this list because I was sure that I will forget a lot of people. So I have decided to give no reference and no names in that presentation, which is more a course than a scientific presentation. So if you want to have references and names of people working in that field, I suggest you look at my paper, not to the paper, but to the reference list and the paper on my website. And the reference lists are usually quite complete, and then you have a lot of citation of papers. Okay, so I will start. So I assume that you are not econometrician, and so I have to introduce the basic concept of econometrics. So this will be the idea of this introduction here. So econometrics, this means statistics applied to economic data. So, but there is a distinction in econometrics between two approaches. One approach is so-called the reduced form approach, which is essentially statistics. We observe economic data, and we try to estimate the model generating this data, the density, the distribution function, the hazard rate, the regression function. There is another approach which is more linked to inverse problem, which is called the structural econometric approach, where the object of interest are not the standard statistical object, but they are defined by the economic models. So we don't want to estimate the regression of the consumption on the price, but we want to estimate the demand function or the production function, and these objects are different. So if I want to summarize in a short pages the main ideas of what I call structural econometric approach, this may be done in that way. So we have essentially three parts. We have the standard statistical part of the model. So there is some data, and they are generated by some probability. So to simplify, I put all the data. They may be function in some case, and they are generated by a probability P. And usually, but not necessary, this probability is characterized by a function F. And so, because I prefer use function instead of probabilities, typically you can have in mind an IID sample of a random element X, and the CDF of this random element is the F. So this is the statistical part, and from this statistical part, we can estimate the function f or some transformation of this function. We have also the economists who come in your office and you say, oh, I am interested by the cost function of some companies or which define an object which is totally different from the statistical object. So the economist or the economic model defines the object of interest. I have said that it may be demand function, it may be cost function, it may be characteristic of the agent in a game, objects which are not usually defined in statistics. And so we have to do the link between the economic object, which may be formalized by a function phi here, and the statistical component of the model, which is characterized by the distribution f. And so this link is usually an implicit function, which relates the object of interest and the probability and the f which characterizes the data generating process, and this is implicit. So it's and this is naturally an inverse problem. So in a naive way, you can consider the econometric approach that we first estimate the function f, we solve this equation in order to obtain an estimator, or for this estimator we can derive a test or everything we want about the object of interest phi. And so we know that this is not so obvious, but it is the main framework of econometrics. To give an example which has been, which is extensively used in econometrics, and I will go back on this example in a deeper way at the end of my presentation. This is the so-called generalized method of moments, which has been introduced by Hansen in '82, and which is very common. So usually in the application of that method, the phi is parametric in the sense that it has a dimension, a finite dimension, but it is not necessary, and we can do generalized method of moment for non-parametric phi. So the idea is to assume that the link between the object of interest and the CDF of the data is a moment equation in the sense that there exists some function h linking the phi and the data x such that we have this equation, it is expectation, so everybody understands that it is actually a relation between phi and f, which takes the form of a linear function with respect to f by taking the mean of h. Why it is so useful in econometrics? Because in most of the econometric models, the specification starts by an optimization problem. So there is some agent which has to maximize or to minimize something. So he has to decide a function, an element x, given some parameters he knows but you don't know, the statistician don't know, and the agent has to optimize some objective function. So the first order condition of this optimality problem are given by h equals 0. So, but in general, so we are in a random world, so we have it is not exactly done, and so this first order condition is only obtained in mean and not for any value of the x, and so this is the natural way to derive this type of condition here. So as I will see later, and I will use that as a characteristic of that problem. This is a linear function with respect to the distribution here, because it's an integral here, but it's not linear with respect to phi here. There is another extension, I want just to quote that because it is very useful also. This is called the conditional method of moment. So instead of expectation equals 0 here, it is a conditional expectation of some function h given a part of the sample z, which is assumed to be 0, because remember that we have this equation here. So we have this value here, which is equal to 0, and this is not a finite number. The dimension of this problem is related to the dimension of z, because this equation equals 0 should be satisfied for any value of the z. So this is an example, but you will see that there are many examples on that forth. So I want to precise some words used in econometrics because they are not always standards in statistics, and I want to take the opportunity of the introduction to precise that. So usually I don't give the mathematical structure here, so phi, f, and a are defined on suitable spaces. So I recall this name. So when economists or econometricians speak about a well-specified model, this means that the model is correct in the sense that if the x is generated by a true distribution, I call it f star, there exists a function phi star such that the equation is verified. So this is also a literature on not well-specified models. So we may also consider a model where there exists no phi satisfying this equation. So in that case, we introduce the concept of pseudo-true value, but this is not something I want to do now. And I always assume that in my model, the models are correctly specified in the sense that there exists this phi star here. There is also a concept which is fundamental. It is also used in statistics, but this is more important for econometricians, the concept of identification. So if I take any phi star, which is a true value of the distribution which generates the x, there exists a phi star which satisfies this equation here, and the model is identified if this phi star is unique. In nonlinear model, we may consider local unicity or local identification. So the unicity is only satisfied in the neighborhood of the true value phi star. So there is now, but I will not consider that in detail, there is not an important field of research in econometrics which treat non-identified model and where the objective is to estimate not a singleton phi, but the identified set, which is the set of the solution of this equation here. Another concept I need to define is the concept of over-identified model or non-over-identified model. It's a surjectivity and injectivity concept as usual. But the idea of non-over-identified model is to say that for any f, we can find a phi which satisfies this equation here. So we have seen that it is true for the true value, but when we want to have this property for any f, we want in particular to have this property for any estimate, for an estimator of f. So if you replace f by an estimator, we want to have a possibility to solve this equation in phi. This is in general not the case, and if it is not the case, we are in the so-called over-identification case. So we are strongly related to the inverse problem. So this is very standard. So the model is well posed. If we can solve in a unique way the equation, and if the solution is a continuous function of phi, but this is not in general the case. And in particular, as the model is over-identified, we have to replace the resolution of the equation by an optimization problem. And this is also a way to generate inverse problem. A last point, which is fundamental in my application after, is a definition of a possible definition of exogeneity and conversely of endogeneity. So this is something. If you are in a meeting of econometricians, there is always discussion about endogeneity and exogeneity, and the way people critique other guys, which is new variable, you assume it is exogenous. In fact, it is endogenous. This is something which is the basic elements, probably the foundation of econometrics at a different field from statistics. A possible definition, there are many definitions of exogeneity, and the definitions are usually adapted to particular model, but a general concept of exogeneity is the following. We can share the sample into y and z, and we can say that z is exogenous if the solution of this equation does not depend on the marginal distribution of the z. Strictly speaking, it may be up to null set and some element, but this is the idea. And the contrary, this is if a variable is not exogenous, it is endogenous, but endogeneity is defined as a negative property with respect to the exogeneity. So in order to understand this discussion, you have to remind that essentially econometrics is not an experimental field. If you want to analyze the impact of Z on the Y, we cannot fix the Z. It's not an experimental field. So we observe Z and Y, and the way that the Z is generated is not controlled by the statistician. So we are in general not in the case of randomized experiment like in medical science or in some physical problem. Even if in econometrics a new approach is to try to mimic experimental design, but up to now, when I used to start course in econometrics, the first thing I say to the student is that it's not an experimental field, and so all the statistical tools are adapted to this non-experimental approach in econometrics. So the condition of the experiment, the Z, are not fixed by the statistician, but I observe, and the exogeneity concept is almost to say that reality look like an experimental approach. Even if it is not, strictly speaking, experimental, we can consider that the Z are fixed in a way which does not influence the estimation of the parameter of interest phi here. Okay, so to complete this introduction, I give you some other notation and to precise my object here. So in some case, in most of the case, not all, but in most of the case, we will consider linear inverse problem. The linearity will be now appreciated with respect to the phi function, not with respect to the f. So the linear problem may be written in that way. So the function a, I write like this, it may be viewed at an operator k applied to phi, and the linear operator, and a term r, and usually both r and k are function of the distribution of the data, and so they are in suitable spaces, I don't precise, and it is the linear operator. So to give an example, I will treat in more detail after, or in the more general case, we can consider the linear functional regression here. Z and phi are in Hilbert space, while is real and U is a random noise. In that case, exogeneity assumption means that the covariance between Z and U is equal to 0, or the second moment, if I assume. And then this equation implies obviously that the variance of Z applies to phi is equal to the covariance between Z and Y. So the variance is a linear operator from the Hilbert space where is the variable Z. Phi also is an element of that space. And we have here a simple example which has been treated by many people, in particular by Yad, so of this example of linear model. Okay, so before starting, my first idea was to give this slide at the end, but I have finally decided to start by these remarks here. So the first point I want to say, what are the characteristics in the field of inverse problem? What are the main characteristics of the econometric problem? So I consider here possibly a more general specification as a linear case I have considered before. So I consider linear problem in that form here. I have not rewrite index f in all cases, but remember that t and r are both functions of the data generating process. So the first characteristic of econometrics is that they are the data. So the r is not observed like an image. It is an estimation of some function, and this estimation is derived from data. So this is the first point. In particular, this has implication in terms of bootstrap, because we can bootstrap in the data. And some recent research in econometrics of inverse problem is to try to adapt bootstrap technique by bootstrapping in the data here in order to try to reproduce the characteristic, the property of the estimation phi. So R is the noisy signal R hat is typically an estimator. So as it is an estimator, we know its property, at least asymptotically, and so we are faced to a statistical inverse problem in the sense that we know the property of R hat minus R. We know the estimation error, and we know its property. In some of case, most of case, it has a zero mean here, and some variant which is known. And usually this variance is not the variance of random noise, it's more complicated things. So this variance usually, in all the cases I know, this variance is itself an operator. It is typically a trace class operator, a nuclear operator. And so we have to use this variance in the estimation, which is not the case of white noise model, because in the white noise model, the variance does not carry any information. Here, the variance of U play a role. So another characteristics of econometrics is we are not the same field, the only field where this problem arrive, but in econometrics, the operator, which is not a physical operator, but it is unknown, and it usually estimated using the same data. So the data we observe are used both for the estimation of the left-hand side of the equation, but also for the estimation of the t here. And typically, t are statistical objects also. In most of the applications I will present, t may take two forms. It may be a covariance operator between some variable W and variable Z, or it may be a conditional expectation operator here. So in that two cases, it is a linear operator, but this is the basic example. So typically, we have to use the same data to estimate R and to estimate the operator. Here, my example, this is a linear case. We are looking to functions. And as a difference of a lot of fields, where in particular for image treatment or tomography, the objects are simple. The theory is not so elaborated that we need to use simple objects. A demand function, a cost function, a distribution of characteristics of agents are simple objects. So it is relatively easy to make assumption on the smoothness of this object here. And it is also not very difficult to have a prior distribution. And so this motivates, even if I will not speak too much about that, this motivates a Bayesian approach to this problem. Because we know things about the demand, about the cost, about the object which are estimated by econometric models. This is a good news for statistical. But the less good news is that the operator in the linear case are usually a very smoothing operator. It smooths a lot. So it's in terms of degree of imposedness, it is usually very badly imposed problem, because severely imposed problem. But we want to estimate simple object. So this is intuitive, but it is in general the framework of the inverse problem we meet in econometrics. This is another issue that I remember the case I have presented before, where the operator is a conditional expectation operator here. The object, both R and the operator, should be estimated non-parametrically. This is not always the case, but it is often the case. And so we have a first step of inverse problem, because to estimate non-parametrically a conditional expectation, this is a first inverse problem, and after we plug this non-parametric estimator into more complicated problems. So what it means, in particular for statisticians, that we have two levels of regularization parameters. We have a first level, we have to estimate, for example, the bandwidth of kernel estimation for conditional expectation, and after we have to estimate, in case of spectral cutoff, the cutoff rule in terms of Tikhonov regularization, the regularization parameter, and so on. So we have these two kind of regularization parameter which play a role at the end of the story of the computation. I have said that identification is a very important issue in econometrics, and in a lot of cases, T may be non-identified, and so I will give you an example after, but this may create problems specific to the case where the operator is not identified. So typically what we have where we analyze the property of the estimation of phi, we have to take into account three types of errors, but usually the estimation error on the R, the regularization bias, so this is standard in all the inverse problem, but also the error on the estimation of the operator here. Also, a characteristic of econometrics problem that the estimation is not often done for itself, but we want to do tests. So we have seen in the previous presentation some tests related to inverse problem. So I give you some idea of the test. So we can make a non-parametric estimation, and we want to test that the model fit with a parametric specification. We want to test exogeneity. I will rediscuss that issue after, but I have seen before that endogeneity and exogeneity is a crucial issue. We want to test shape constraint. And more general problems, we want to treat in some case. We have two inverse problems. So one objective of my presentation is probably to motivate people very expert in that field to do research applied to this type of problem. So we have two inverse problems, and we want to test that the solution, the function, are related with some operators. The A is different from the previous one. And so, for example, I will not write. We have something like the IV estimation and the local IV. I will write that after, and we want to test that the solution of the second problem is the derivative of the solution of the first problem. So this is an example of test, which is complicated because we are faced with problem we has been discussed yesterday by Clément in particular. So we have to be very careful about the regularity property of the phi1 and phi2, the coherence if you test under the null to have a coherency between the regularity of phi2 and phi1. So this is not so simple as it is in parametric case. Other characteristic of the econometrics problem. So this is related to something I have said before, but I want to precise a little more. We are sometimes faced to successive inverse problems. So this is not only the case in econometric, but this is particularly true in econometric. I have given here two examples of this situation. Imagine that the left-hand side of my equation, the R, the signal I estimate, is a distribution function. I will give, in the case of game models, a situation where my R is a CDF or it's a quantile function. So, but sometimes we can estimate directly the R. We have a sample, and we may estimate the R by the empirical distribution function. But sometimes we are not able to observe directly the Y, and so we have a noise model where we observe the white star with a noise eta here, and so we should do first a deconvolution in order to estimate the R. So we have a first inverse problem, which is a deconvolution, and after we put the solution of this inverse problem into another one, like an IV model or like a game model. And so we have a sequence, typically, of inverse problem with a sequence of selection of regularization parameters. So this is not a good example here. We make estimate the function phi by any inverse problem you want, and after you are interested by a differential equation related to phi. So the object of interest is to estimate the m, which satisfies this equation. The derivative of m satisfies this equation here. So this has been treated by Advan Helms and many people like a theory of surplus, and so we have this sequence of inverse problems here. Finally, this is also standard. This has been studied by Christina in particular, but there is a lot of situations in econometrics where the operator is known up to some parameter, like the convolution with a normal error and unknown variance. And so we use the same data to estimate both the R and the parameter sigma here. it appears in a different situation at the convolution model. I can give you after an example also. And this is probably a characteristic of the problem of the inverse problem in econometrics. So this is some elements which show the specificity of the econometric approach. They are not completely specific to econometry, but all of these questions appear very frequently in econometrics problem. So now I want to move to a standard example. This example is important for two reasons. First, it played an historical role because it is the first example where the literature of inverse problem appears in econometrics. This was around 2000 approximately. And this is also important because it solves a problem of endogeneity in non-parametric estimation. And this has been a very important problem before the solution which has been proposed by several people here. So I will try to define what is the concept of instrumental variable estimation and related to that to the concept of endogeneity. So everybody knows the regression model. So we observe y and z here, and the regression model just decomposes the y into its conditional expectation to its projection on the z plus a noise, and so the u satisfies the equation expectation of u given z equals 0. The idea, so this is what we assume in general in experimental field, but here we are not in experimental field, that it's not always true that we can assume that this independence condition, or this mean independence condition between the u and the z here. And so the z is fixed by the economic system. I will give you an example just after, in such a way that this is related to the u, and this assumption is not true. So the idea is to replace this assumption of conditional mean of u given z equals 0 by the fact that the conditional mean of u given w, another set of variable of dimension q, in that case is equal to 0, and then we are faced to this problem here. So technically the main difference between regression and IV models is that here the phi is measurable with the same sigma field, which determines the conditional mean equals 0 here. We have both z and z here, but here we have two separate objects. We have the z here and w here. And then the phi is not defined in the same way as in the regression case. Phi is a solution. We just start from this property here to write a linear equation. We write that the expectation of y minus phi of z is given w equals 0, and this creates this relation here. This is trivial if I have density, and this creates a linear inverse problem where the k is a conditional expectation operator. Actually, it's a kf, but I did not rewrite the f anytime. And the r is a conditional mean of y given w here. So this is a way to control what is called the endogeneity of the z in that model. I give you two motivations of that construction here. The first one is a treatment model. So it's not only in econometric, but it is also in a non-experimental medical application, medical trial. So we may imagine that zeta is a level of a treatment. So it's not a random variable, it is not observed, but we have in mind a model which determines an outcome y for any level of the treatment zeta here. And I have taken a very simple example. The treatment only play a role on the mean of y. So we have in mind that for each zeta, there exists a y which satisfies this equation here. But we cannot, if we fix zeta, it is a standard problem. But if we don't fix zeta, but we observe zeta, which has been selected by the physician, by some mechanism we cannot control, and the choice of the zeta is not independent of you. Typically, if you think into medical application, so I move out of econometrics, so the doctor who specified the treatment know things the statistician don't know, which are captured in the U, and choose the zeta in function of some property of the U you don't know. So we cannot assume that the expectation of U given the Z you observe is 0, but we can say that the Z is generated given some W, which are the instrumental variables. You should have an S, because usually there are many instruments. And you can use this W, which are assumed to be independent of the U, in the sense that expectation of U given W equals 0, and which also explain the generation of the Z. So this is not always easy to understand for non-econometricians, but it is one of the main elements of econometrics. Econometrics is typically based on an example, which is the type of example. There is another application or another interpretation of the problem of instrumental variable. It is a set of equations here. Econometrics is not an experimental field, but it is also a domain where we see equilibrium between objects here. So typically we observe solution of equation. So we may imagine that we have a y and z, two variables, typically two macroeconomic variables, the consumption and the revenue, for example, and we have two equations generating y in function of z and z in function of y. And so these two variables are jointly determined given two specific variable, exogenous variable or instrument, which appear in the two equations W1 and W2. And so we can assume that the expectation of the residual here, given the W here, is equal to 0. But this does not mean that the expectation of U1, for example, given the Z and the W1, the variable which are in the first equation, is 0. So if you estimate this equation, and if you neglect that the Z and the U1 are related, you have a bias of estimation. We don't estimate the parameter you want to estimate. You have the right to estimate the linear conditional expectation of y given z and w1, but this is not an estimation of the structural parameter which are defined by this joint equation here. So this has been the foundation of the econometrics at the beginning of the 20th century, and this is one of the main examples to illustrate the specificity of econometrics. So now we are faced to this problem here, and we want to look at some identification problem which appear here. So remember that we have an equation R phi equal K phi equal R. So the correct specification is just to say that the expectation of y given W is in the range of K, so we assume that. And the model is identified. So we have a unique solution of your problem, is a true operator. You don't know the true operator, but we will assume that the true operator is 1 to 1. This means that the conditional expectation should be 0 if and only if phi is equal to 0, or it also means that is orthogonal of L2 space of Z measurable function, and the L2 of W are the intersection of these two sets is equal to 0. So in most of the case, we have the fact that K is compact, and K is compact because it is usually an Hilbert-Schmidt condition. This is not a simplifying assumption. It is a reality which complicates the problem, actually. But this compactness implies a spectral value decomposition I will show you after. I just want to remark that in that case, if K is the conditional expectation operator, is adjoint operator, is also the conditional expectation operator, but in the other sense of K is expectation of function of Z given W, and K star is expectation of function of W given Z. So in the case, in the compact case, in particular in the Hilbert-Schmidt case, we have the SVD standard decomposition, and identification means that there is no log that J equal 0. So this is an interesting concept which has been introduced just to link that. We have studied this concept long time ago with my co-author Michel Mouchard and Jean-Marie Rollin in the Bayesian context. We have called that stored identification, but now it is more often called completeness by econometricians, and the reason is the following one. Long time ago has been introduced the concept of complete statistics, and a statistics is complete if in sampling expectation, so given theta in parameter space equals 0, imply phi equals 0. This has been introduced for the relation between ancillary and sufficient statistics. So the word complete came from that example here. And so after we have different concepts of completeness, depending on the set where we put phi, we have LP complete, L2 complete, boundary complete, depending on the choice of the LP space here. So this motivates now a lot of papers about this assumption here, which is an assumption of dependence between the instrument and the endogenous variable here. It has been proved that it is not testable, but people are trying to weaken a little this assumption in order to get test. I give you just an example of situation where we can prove that the identification condition is satisfied. We write a model, a set of two equations, so we explicit the way where Z is generated as a function of W, and W varies sufficiently independently of the W, and the Fourier transform of the distribution of V does not cancel. And so in that case, it had been proved by Dautefeuille in particular that we can satisfy the completeness of the identification condition. We need to stop. Okay. Yes, we stop. Yes.